Hey guys, quick editor's note before the video, just letting you know that I actually made this a few days ago while I wasn't able to upload anything on YouTube because, I was in that timeout. So I actually posted this on my new video website, jordansather.tv. So if you'd like to go check that out, you can, although just letting you know it's a couple of days old and I still wanted to get it out on YouTube anyway, so all of you guys who didn't know about this other things can watch it. So anyway, sit back and enjoy. Our sponsor for today's video is the product ESS60. C60 or carbon-60 is a tiny molecule composed of 60 carbon atoms arranged in a sphere, and it's also known as a buckyball or fullerene, after the geodesic domes of famous inventor Buckminster Fuller. It acts as an electron reservoir that neutralizes free radicals, and some studies have shown C60 to have almost hundreds of times the antioxidant capacity as vitamin C. This is a purified C60 oil blend that comes in 3 organic options: avocado, olive, and coconut oil. You can mix it on your salad, rub it on your steak, dip your bread in it, or like many users of C60, just take it straight off the spoon. If you'd like to try the ESS60 blend in your daily routine, you can find it at oliveoil60.com. Here in America, we might have some of the most hypocritical politicians in the world. And that's saying something, isn't it? Especially when it comes to masks. And lo and behold, how many, especially Democrat politicians, those who always tell you to wear masks wherever you go, wear them all the time, wear them in your car even, wear them at home, they tell us, these politicians. Meanwhile, they're getting caught without masks at all. And I love the internet because then the pictures get posted and they get shared everywhere. So here's a few hypocrite politicians that have been caught in recent days with no mask on. And we're going to start off with Nancy Pelosi, branded a hypocrite for breaking COVID rules to get a blowout at a closed San Francisco salon. And she's filmed walking around without a mask on after pushing for the nationwide face covering mandate. Yes, she has, and she's done it many, many, many times, huh? Wear a mask. Oh, it even goes over your nose. All these sorts of little rules and regulations they're trying to push onto you. They don't even follow them themselves. Let's look at this security camera footage. There it is right there. And she's walking around, no mask on. This place is supposed to be closed anyway. She's trying to get her hair did. She's out getting her hair did, and she doesn't care about her own rules, huh? Yet in California, aren't they literally closing down businesses all over the place? Or not letting them open unless there's all kinds of crazy stringent rules? They'll get shut down if they find out a customer isn't wearing a mask in their establishment. These politicians don't care at all. Moving on now to, is that Andrew Cuomo out of New York? Again, another Democrat. I don't do the left-wing, right-wing stuff, right? There's bad apples in the Republican Party too. At the moment, there's a lot more bad apples in the Democratic Party, just the way it is. But we have yet another Democrat right here. Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York. Another one of those states that keeps telling you to wear a mask, keeps telling you to put it on your face. Doesn't matter if you're in the car, if you're outside, if you're indoors. Closing down businesses for all these sorts of rules and regulations. He didn't even have a mask on. He doesn't even have it down around his neck. There's like no sign he even has a mask on his person. And I also noticed that he doesn't have a doggy bag to pick up after his doggy there. So, bad on you, Cuomo. No wonder his brother works for CNN, right? Oh, moving on here to yet another Democrat. This one's out of New Jersey. The first lady there, the governor's wife, she puts a tweet out a couple of days ago. The mask goes over your nose. That's it. That's the tweet. Same type of thing. These politicians, a lot of these celebrities too, these just hacks. That's what they are. They're hacks. Have been telling us for months to wear the mask, to make sure you have it on at all times, maintain your social distancing, put that mask over your nose, just all these ridiculous things we're hearing that they say are supposed to help us, right? Remember, they say, they claim. Do they really help us? Probably not. It's all for control. It's all to make you an obedient slave, get you into, the feeling of doing what you're told. Well, we have the governor, his first wife of New Jersey, telling everybody to put the mask over their nose, and Kelly B here figures out that, ooh, that's the governor of New Jersey right there. Doesn't look like he has a mask over his nose, huh? Man, I love this caption. Social media is not the place to passively aggressively complain about your husband. Oh, that's the tweet. That's the tweet. What a hack. What a hypocrite. Tammy Murphy, the first lady of New Jersey. And isn't this just crazy? All this gaslighting they're doing, that's really what it is. It comes down to fake news promoting fake science, and they're trying to gaslight you into accepting these rules and regulations. And the excuse they usually use is one that's supposed to make you feel good, but that's on the surface. You look deeper, and again, it's that gaslighting, narcissistic talk. But they always say masks are for the public good. It's for the public's benefit. It's not for you. It's for everybody around you. It's so you protect everybody else. That's that gaslighting bullshit they always tell us when it comes to masks, right? It's also what they tell us when it comes to vaccines. And speaking of those hypocritical hack politicians, especially the Democrats, again, not a left-wing, right-wing thing, but especially these corrupted Democrats. Let's move on now from masks to talking about vaccines. De Blasio, the New York City mayor, okay? So we saw the governor earlier. He didn't have a mask on. Governor of New York. Now the mayor of New York City is hinting that indoor dining won't return to New York City until they get a COVID-19 vaccine approved. Wow. This is why, I'm not sure if you saw it, but last weekend there was a video that went around that somebody took from New York City outside a U-Haul center. And there was a line a block long of people waiting to pick up their U-Haul truck to move the heck out of New York because of how lawless it's getting there, how ridiculous the rioting and the crime is getting, and also all of these Orwellian tactics too. Businesses can't open, indoor dining won't return in New York City until they get a vaccine. And remember, what they're going to tell you for that vaccine is that it's not for you getting this shot, it's for the public. It's the same damn thing we've been hearing for decades for them to gaslight us and sell us their bullshit vaccines with. Big Pharma's poison pokes. Now they're trying to sell us on these masks, right? If you think your news is fake, try science. And not just science now over the last few years, but we're talking going back decades, if not centuries, folks. That's a deep rabbit hole. We'll leave that one for another time. But science is fake, folks. Plenty of it out there. Plenty of it out there. All right? The scientific process itself is wonderful. But a lot of these scientists these days, we can't really classify as scientists because they don't do the scientific process. They get blackmailed and paid off to bring forth fake data for their corporate masters. That's exactly what happens. Next story on vaccines. How about this? The World Economic Forum. All right, World Economic Forum. That sounds something real globalist, doesn't it? I automatically don't trust them. They're saying, according to market research, according to a study, a poll, right? We're talking fake news and fake science. Well, the polls are fake too. The World Economic Forum says that nearly 3 in 4 adults plan to get the COVID-19 vaccine once it comes out. And they're saying this is a global survey around the world. They're claiming that 75% of adults want to get the vaccine. This poll is almost easier to say is fake than the Joe Biden is leading Donald Trump polls, right? Those polls are ridiculous. This one might even be even more so. Do you really think 75% of people want to get the COVID vaccine? I wouldn't even think that 75% of left-wingers want to get the vaccine. The people who are even going to be voting for Joe Biden, like the liberals out there, I don't even think we could say 3 out of 4 of them want to get the vaccine. Definitely not 3 out of 4 of independents or right-wingers or people out there who classify themselves as nothing, kind of like me. Definitely not 3 and 4 of all of them want to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So what the heck is this? And funny enough, World Economic Forum, go to their website. One of their main contributors, one of their main donators, Bill Gates, big surprise, How many of these coronavirus vaccines that are being made right now in that so-called race to get the vaccine, how many of them have been directly or indirectly funded and supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? I would actually not, I think it would be safe to say, I should say, that all of them, at least like 80 to 90% of them, a lot of them are all funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So just look at all the incestuous relationships. Look at the web, right? Just web this out. It doesn't take that many degrees of separation between all these corrupt powers, and then you just start scratching your head like, oh, they're connected to them and them and them, and they're saying these things. Oh, it makes sense. They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt with a bunch of useful idiots under them who don't realize that they're being puppeted, manipulated by these puppet masters above them. So look at that. World Economic Forum, BS. They're almost as bad as the World Health Organization, which we'll get to in a minute. We've got two more stories here. One with Fauci, still on vaccines. Dr. Fauci predicts a, quote, safe and effective coronavirus vaccine by the end of the year. As the coronavirus vaccine comes out, folks, this is going to be a few words, a phrase that you're going to hear over and over and over again, and that's going to be safe and effective. Safe and effective. Safe and effective. That is the parroted rhetoric. That's the talking points that they all get to regurgitate to sell those vaccines. Because, of course, propaganda always works best when it's pounded into our heads over and over and over again by a few different sources that are all controlled by the same folks, right? So you hear the parroted rhetoric over and over and over again, safe and effective, safe and effective. It's probably not safe and effective then. And especially when you look into these kind of vaccines that they're trying to roll out, they're very experimental. They're called microRNA vaccines. They actually mess with our DNA itself. No, I'm not going to trust that. And I'm not even going to trust any sort of data that comes out, even if it says, oh, these studies show the vaccines are safe and effective. Well, who funds the studies? How did you manipulate those studies to get that result that you wanted to sell that particular corporate product? Easy questions to ask. You know, lastly, I will leave you here with some very good news. This one might give you a little hope, though, as the totalitarian agenda comes forth and they all try to get us those COVID-19 vaccines. Well, this just came out a couple hours ago. It's being reported that the United States will not join the World Health Organization's-led coronavirus vaccine effort, and that's according to the White House. So the White House is saying that, which is a very, very good thing. So right here, the NPR, they're awful. Don't believe shit that NPR tells you, but this headline is just telling us what the White House is saying. The Trump administration says the U.S. will not participate in a global push to develop a COVID-19 vaccine, in part because the effort is led by the WHO, which the White House describes as a, quote, corrupt, and has accused of initially aiding China in covering up the scope of the pandemic. Absolutely, the World Health Organization is corrupt. We were just talking about that web, right? World Health Organization and their connections to the Bill Gates Foundation. World Economic Forum, their connections to the World Health Organization and Bill Gates. It's like these globalist powers that dress themselves up to be all benevolent and good for us when under it, they're just some bad, bad news. But this, I would say, is very, very good news. So this might help you see that it's like a very careful information war that President Trump and the White House are playing with vaccines right now. A lot of people are scratching their head like, why does President Trump promote these vaccines? It seems so weird. I don't think he's a good guy. Well, you gotta always think about the optics, okay? If Donald Trump were to come out full bore against vaccines right now, the mainstream media would have a field day on his ass. They'd be calling him a conspiracy theorist, crazy person all over the place, and, you know, attacking him even more so. We don't want that. There's an election coming up in 2 months. We got to be smart about the strategy that we're putting out right now, that everybody's putting out right now, especially Donald Trump. So he's being very careful on one hand for the optics, for the cameras. He's got to kind of say he supports vaccines. But below that, what are we seeing happen? Donald Trump's absolutely going after Big Pharma. He's doing what he can against them right now. What won't get him lit up in the mainstream media. So we have, for instance, the right to try bill that was passed. We have the effort underway by the White House to lower prescription drug prices substantially. Very good things that Big Pharma doesn't like him for, but he's kind of got to support the vaccines right now. But at the same time, we get pieces of information like this that help us to know that Donald Trump still is not under Big Pharma's thumb. Okay, so just always remember that with these topics that might confuse you, how could there be certain optics going on? Could they be saying, Trump, White House, other people, be saying things just so they don't get majorly attacked, but are they still trying to get the truth out in different ways? So, good news there, but nevertheless, that COVID-19 vaccine, as it continues to come out, we'll see how they try to mandate it. I do not believe that Trump will make it a federal mandate at all. I think he will do what he's typically done through this whole pandemic. That's not really a pandemic, let's be real, the numbers are faked. But what they're claiming is a pandemic over the last 5 months is that he leaves it up to the states. He leaves it up to the local and state governments to make the vaccine, do mandatory things or just make the rules their way. So when these vaccines come out, I think Trump will leave it up to the states. And then really the people will have a problem with their local and state governments over that vaccine, which might actually turn out to be a very good thing because people are going to start standing up then towards their state and local governments at that point if they were trying to mandate the vaccine. So we'll see how the fight comes out. Nevertheless, I ain't taking the poison poke, and I sure hope you do your research and don't take the poison pokes either. So anyway, thank you, everybody. You can find me at jordansather.com. Thank you for watching this on jordansather.tv or YouTube if I happen to get the chance to upload it there. You can find my supplements and some wonderful products for you at consciousstrength.net, and then subscribe on Patreon if you want to donate and hang out with me for some weekly live chats too. Take care, everybody. See you in the next one.